Mom, Renee still sends you $5,000 a month, right? I just want to know you're comfortable. I froze. My spoon stopped halfway to my mouth. $5,000? For 8 months, I had been eating canned beans from the food pantry at Trinity Chapel and living off the kindness of a neighbor who left eggs on my porch. Son, I said quietly, the church has been helping me get by. The smile drained off his face like water down a sink. And that's when she walked in, Renee, my daughter-in-law, in a cream silk dress and heels that cost more than my monthly grocery budget, trailing a cloud of perfume so strong it drowned out the smell of the apple pie I'd baked to welcome my son home. She smiled at me. It was a beautiful smile. It was also the last beautiful thing about her I would ever believe. If you're watching this, drop the city you're tuning in from in the comments. And if this story pulls you in the way it pulled me through living it, hit like. It helps more people find their way here. Now let me take you back to where it started. My name is Eleanor Whitfield. I'm 68 years old, and I live alone in a small clapboard house on Maplewood Lane, on the quiet edge of a town called Cedar Falls. This house used to be loud, full of my husband Walter's laugh, full of our son Michael learning to ride his bike in the driveway. Walter passed 9 years ago. Heart attack, sudden, no warning. Since then, I've filled my days with the garden, my Bible study group, and the slow, careful rhythm of a life lived on a fixed income. Michael is not on a fixed income. Michael is 39 years old and worth more money than I'll see in 3 lifetimes. He built a logistics software company from a garage into a name investors whisper with respect. He drives a car that costs more than this house. He lives in a stone mansion in the hills above town where the property taxes alone would have covered every bill I've had since Walter died. I was proud of him. I raised him to be decent. So when he walked through my door that afternoon, sunlight catching the tired lines on his handsome face, my heart lifted, right up until the question about the money. Renee's version, delivered with that honeyed voice, "Oh, Mother, you must be forgetting. I stopped by every month with it, remember?" I looked her dead in the eye. "If you brought it, it must have gotten lost somewhere along the way." The silence that followed had weight. I could hear the clock on the wall, a car passing outside, my own pulse in my ears. Michael looked between the two of us, his gray-haired mother in an apron, his glossy wife in designer silk, and his brow creased. "Renee, you have been bringing it, right? I transfer it every month." "Of course, sweetheart," she said, not missing a beat. "Maybe Mother's just having one of those days. You know, memory." Memory. I'd heard that phrase thrown at me more than once since Walter died, like an old widow's mind was a leaky bucket nobody could trust. But I remembered every bill, every prayer, every face at Trinity Chapel. And I knew, with the same certainty I once used to balance a company's books down to the penny, that Renee had never handed me a single dollar. I said nothing more. Some fights aren't won by shouting. They're won by watching. If you were in my shoes right now, would you have called her out on the spot, or watched and waited like I did? Tell me below. I want to know. That night, alone in my kitchen, I did the math. $5,000 a month, 8 months, $40,000. That money could have fixed my leaking roof. Replaced the refrigerator that groans like a dying animal every time it kicks on. Instead, I had been rationing canned soup and thanking God for donated bread. I wasn't angry yet. I was something colder and more useful, awake. I pulled out an old notebook, the kind I used to jot grocery lists in, and wrote 2 words at the top of a fresh page. Find the truth. Underneath it, don't trust fake tears. The next morning I walked into Cedar Falls Community Bank and handed my passbook to a young teller named Priya. "Can you check for any transfers from my son, Michael Whitfield? He says he's been sending $5,000 a month for 8 months. She typed. She frowned. She typed again. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Whitfield. There's nothing here. Just $1.35 in interest back in February." I stood on the sidewalk afterward with the wind pulling at my coat, feeling like something had dropped straight through my chest and kept falling. No transfers. No envelopes. No letters. Nothing. For 8 months I had clipped coupons and eaten alone, never once imagining my own son's silence was hiding a lie underneath it. That afternoon, I sat in the back pew at Trinity Chapel. Pastor Lewis, who'd known me 20 years, noticed. "Eleanor, you look tired today." "I'm just trying to understand why my son's letters never arrived," I told him. He put a hand on my shoulder. "The Lord has a way of bringing truth to light. Don't lose faith." I nodded. But faith alone wasn't going to get my $40,000 back. I needed something Walter used to call a plan with teeth. That night I opened a leather notebook Michael had given me for my 60th birthday, the good one, the one I'd been saving for something important. On the first page, instead of a prayer, I wrote, "If they're lying, I'll make the truth speak louder than they can." From that day, I documented everything. Every visit. Every excuse. Every gift with no envelope attached. Thursday, June the 14th, Renee stopped by with a cake. Said the money was sent, blamed a bank delay. No proof. Saturday, July the 12th, called to cancel a visit, said she had a charity meeting. I could hear restaurant music behind her. No anger in the ink. Just the precision of a woman who spent 30 years as a corporate accountant and knew numbers never lie, even when people do. Part 3, the Lexus in the driveway. Weeks passed. Renee kept visiting, always flawless, always empty-handed of anything but flowers and excuses. Then one August morning, while I was watering my tomatoes, a brand new silver Lexus rolled into my driveway. Temporary plates. Paint so glossy it hurt to look at directly. Renee stepped out holding a gift basket wrapped in gold ribbon like she'd walked off a magazine cover. "Where's this month's money, Renee?" I asked, before she'd even reached the porch. Her smile flickered, just for a second, like a light bulb about to die. "Oh, Mother, I must have left it in the car." I glanced at the Lexus gleaming behind her. "Nice car. Must have cost a bit. And yet you keep forgetting envelopes." Her jaw tightened, but she recovered fast. "I'll bring the bank receipt next time," she said, already backing toward her car. "Don't forget the envelope in there either," I called after her, sweet as pie. She paused on the steps. "You're very sharp, Mother," she said, and it wasn't a compliment. That evening I called Michael's company directly, keeping my voice steady, and asked to speak with someone in accounting. A woman named Sandra confirmed, hesitantly, that automated transfers of exactly $5,000 had been leaving Michael's account every month, on schedule. "To whom?" I asked. "The name matches yours, Mrs. Whitfield," she said slowly. "But the account number, it's different from any account we have on file for you." A chill went straight down my spine. Someone had opened an account under my name that wasn't mine. And there was only one person close enough, clever enough, and cold enough to have done it. 3 days later, a man in a slightly travel-worn charcoal suit knocked on my door. "Mrs. Whitfield, I'm Walter Grimes, chief accountant at your son's company. Sandra told me about your call. I thought you deserved to know a few things." He opened a thick folder on my kitchen table. 8 transfers. 5,000 each. 40,000 total. Recipient, an account bearing the name Eleanor Whitfield, but opened, signed, and controlled entirely by Renee. "She used a copy of your ID," Grimes said gently. "Likely forged." "Very well done. The system registered it under your name automatically." I pressed a hand to my chest. It wasn't just theft. It was humiliation, my own name, weaponized against me. "And that's not all," he continued. "She's also been charging the company card for personal expenses. Spa visits. Designer purchases. First-class flights. Over $30,000 in 3 months alone." I sat in silence, staring out the window at the wooden bench where Walter and I used to drink our morning coffee. I remembered Renee's voice from a dozen visits. "Michael's so busy, I handle everything for him." Now I understood exactly what everything meant. If I want to expose this, I asked Grimes, will you help me? He met my eyes. I believe in justice, Mrs. Whitfield. But we need evidence, not accusations. Give me time. This is the moment the story really turns. If you're still with me, let me know, comment still here so I know you made it this far. It means a lot. I invited Michael and Renee to Sunday dinner. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, apple pie, everything Michael loved as a boy. Not because I wanted a perfect evening, but because I wanted an ordinary one. Ordinary is where liars let their guard down. Over the main course, I said, warm as honey, I really do appreciate you both, especially this month's 5,000. Renee barely blinked. Oh, Mother, please, it's the least I can do. I'm just curious, I added, stirring my tea. What day do you usually send it? The 10th every month, she answered instantly, a reflex, no hesitation. Michael frowned. Wait, not the 10th, honey. I set the auto transfer for the 15th. Silence dropped over that table like a curtain. A fork clinked against a plate. Renee blinked, laughed too quickly. I thought you said the 10th. No, Michael said slowly, eyes narrowing. I'm sure it's the 15th. I smiled and set down my fork. Wonderful. I'll check with the bank on the 15th, then. Just to be safe. If you'd been sitting at that table and heard your daughter-in-law contradict herself like that, would you have said something right then, or let it simmer like I did? Comment below. That night, I emailed Grimes and my old college friend Diane Cross, now a financial fraud attorney. Subject line, it's time to begin. 2 days later, Diane confirmed, enough evidence for an elder financial exploitation case. But I didn't want a courtroom to see it before Michael did. He needed to witness the truth with his own eyes first. I planned one more dinner, beef stew, Michael's childhood favorite, simmering on the stove like nothing was wrong. In the center of the table sat a plain envelope marked Senior Assistance Fund documents. Only I knew there wasn't a single donation inside. Just 8 months of proof. Pastor Lewis arrived to drop off the paperwork, right on cue. Renee tilted her head, suspicious. This really is a charity dinner? I thought you were joking, Mother. Yes, I said. A dinner about trust. I slid the first page across the table. Son, take a look at this. Michael's eyes dropped to the bold print, recipient, Renee Whitfield. Amount, $5,000. Date, the 15th of every month. His face went from confusion to something much worse. That must be a mix-up, Renee said quickly, too quickly. Banks make mistakes with names all the time. Is that so? I asked. Then explained the spa charge in Portland. $1,200. On the company card. Under your name. That's when the front door opened and Walter Grimes stepped through it, folder in hand. No one used your name by accident, Mrs. Whitfield. I prepared these records myself. Renee's face went white as the tablecloth. What is this? Michael's voice cracked as he turned to his wife. I was just borrowing it, she stammered, tears rising on command. I was going to pay it back. 8 months of borrowing, I said quietly, and forging bank documents under your mother-in-law's name to do it. Michael slammed his palm on the table. The glasses rattled. What did you do to my mother? Renee grabbed for excuses that no longer held any weight. Finally, she snatched her purse and stormed out, heels striking the floor like the final beats of something ending. Michael didn't chase her. He sat, head bowed, staring at $40,000 worth of betrayal spread across the tablecloth. Mom, he finally said, voice raw. I'm so sorry. I was such a fool to trust her. No, son, I told him, hand on his shoulder. The mistake was never trusting. The mistake belongs to the one who broke it. The case moved fast once Diane filed it. Whitfield versus Whitfield, elder financial exploitation. On the morning of the hearing, Renee sat at the defendant's table in a black suit, composure cracking at the edges. Her lawyer tried the obvious angle. "Your Honor, Mrs. Whitfield is elderly. She may simply have misremembered the transfers." I felt my blood rise, but Diane was already standing, calm as glass. "Your Honor, Mrs. Whitfield's memory was sharp enough to document, in writing, every single visit, every excuse, every date, for 8 straight months. Here is her journal." She held up my brown notebook. Every line matches the bank's own transaction records. If this is memory loss, it's the most precise memory loss this court has ever seen. A murmur rolled through the room. Grimes took the stand and confirmed, under oath, every transfer, every forged signature. The judge's ruling came down clean and final: full repayment of $40,000, Renee stripped of access to any of Michael's accounts, and a mandatory financial conduct program. Renee turned to Michael as they let her out. "You have to believe me. I didn't mean." He said nothing. He just looked at her the way you look at a stranger. I didn't feel triumph walking out of that courthouse. Just a quiet, aching kind of peace, the peace of someone who'd reclaimed the truth, even if it cost her son his marriage. Months passed in stillness. Michael didn't call much. He was busy piecing his life back together, and I understood that some silences are just growth in disguise. When the restitution money landed in my account, I didn't feel joy. I felt something better: purpose. I fixed the roof. Bought a proper heater. And with what remained, I sat down with Pastor Lewis and Diane and said, "I want to start a foundation. For people like me, elders who trusted the wrong person with their name." We called it the Whitfield Trust Fund. Our first office was a basement corner of Trinity Chapel, 3 desks, 1 printer, and a hand-carved sign that read, "Helping the Forgotten Find Their Voice Again." Week after week, people came through our doors with stories that echoed mine. An elderly woman tricked into signing away her house. A grandfather whose grandson drained his pension. Each one taught me the same lesson: the truth doesn't arrive quickly, but it always arrives on time. One stormy night, months later, there was a knock at my door well past 10. I opened it to find Michael standing in the rain, soaked through, eyes red. "Mom," he said, voice breaking. "I've been so stupid." He told me Renee had drained what savings remained and disappeared with a man from her past. Her only parting message: "You trusted the wrong person." I dried his hair the way I did when he was small. "I don't need your apology," I told him. "I need you to remember that truth never arrives late. It only waits until we're brave enough to face it." From then on, Michael showed up at the foundation every weekend, organizing files, writing thank you letters, sitting beside elderly strangers and listening to their stories the way I once wished someone had listened to mine. A year later, I received a call. I'd been named the State's Woman of the Year for community advocacy. Standing at the podium in a plain blue dress, I looked out at a room full of strangers and told them the truth I'd learned the hard way. "When someone steals your trust," I said, "reclaim it with truth. Not shouting. Not hatred. Just truth, because it holds a power no punishment ever could." Michael sat in the second row, wiping his eyes, finally understanding what he hadn't understood at that first Sunday dinner so long ago. That night, at home, I opened my worn leather notebook one last time and wrote a final line. A mother's greatest victory isn't winning in court. It's teaching her child the value of honesty. If you've ever been betrayed by someone in your own family, someone who was supposed to protect you instead of exploit you, I want to hear your story in the comments. Your voice today might be exactly what someone else needs to read tomorrow. And if you believe, like I do, that the truth always finds its way home, hit like, subscribe, and stay close. Next time, I'll tell you about another woman who fell and rose again.